Welcome to scoutparts.com. Today I'm going to talk about why you would want to buy a wiring harness from scoutparts.com. What's commonly available on the market today to rewire your Scout 2, your Scout 800, your Scout 80, or any of the travelalls or pickups made from the 1930s through 1980. There's two that are available. One is essentially a ball of wire that you cut to length. None of the connectors that are included are made specifically for all the little appliances and switches and all the things that are all over your Scout. You've got to pull everything out, cut it to length. You're the one that's in charge of making all the connections, and those connections are so important to the reliability of your vehicle. The biggest difference between a reliable Scout and a not reliable Scout is the harness. So this is what the competitor has to offer, a ball of wire. We make a reproduction of the factory harness, and this is how you get it. It comes bagged with directions, labeled so you know exactly what you're getting. You get a schematic with all the factory notes and just all the information that International wanted you to know about in 1971. This particular harness has been made for a 71 to 73 underdash. So it services everything underneath your dash in a 71 to 73 Scout. This is going to handle all your turn signals, your heater fan. It's going to supply power for all your gauges, and all the connections are already made. All you have to do is click it into place. We also make custom, no one else does this, but this is called a point-to-point. This is a list of every single circuit in this harness. You can see it's pretty voluminous, but it shows you per wire exactly where this end of it's supposed to connect and this end of it is supposed to connect. So it's called a point-to-point. It's a really big assistance in addition to your wiring schematic. So the connectors that you'll receive on your harness are specifically for use with your year and make or your year of Scout. All of these connectors are going to just click right into place. If you go another direction and buy the big ball of wire, you're looking at hours and hours of trying to decipher exactly where these guys are all supposed to go. Some of these connectors we actually make and include with the harness. Here's an example of one that was only used by International Harvester. It's not available for any amount of money anywhere on the planet, but we've just finished a tool to recreate it, and now we're stamping them out. Every single wire on every single harness made by scoutparts.com is going to come labeled. You can see that these have these little rings on here, and they're all labeled, even though in most cases you really don't need them, because this is just going to snap into the wiring that comes out of your steering column. By the way, this is where all your turn signal logic is done, is in this connector here. But it's very important for you to know that if you ever do need to track something down, or if there is a problem, all the numbers are right there. All of these numbers correspond to your point-to-point and to your wiring schematic. So this is an example of a connector made by scoutparts.com. All the labels are on here. You can see little numbers on there representing all the different circuits. This guy services one of your gauges on your Scout. Inside here are these little tiny electrical contacts. These little tiny electrical contacts are not designed to be applied with hand crimpers. It just isn't a reliable way of sending information from your engine to your gauges. Here at scoutparts.com, we've gone to great lengths to recreate the original factory application of these contacts. Behind me here is a vintage press. This press takes applicators, and these applicators are exactly what the electrical engineers and mechanical engineers at International Harvester had intended to apply the connectors onto the ends of your wire. Here's a wire that I've pre-stripped. It's all labeled and ready to go. I'm going to turn this on. This wire will break before this contact comes off of here. We pull test these regularly to make sure that nothing's changed with the machine. All of the contacts in your scoutparts.com harness will come at this level of quality. And then you slip on a period connector, and there you go. You have a 100% authentic Scout Part harness component. Let's take a little closer look at the composition of a scoutparts.com harness. We've talked about the connectors, we've talked about the crimping, we've talked about the labeling and the documentation. One of the other things that we've done to go far out of our way to recreate an original 1960s look and feel is we've actually had made for us a non-adhesive tape. This is a tape that is made exactly like what they used in the factory at International Harvester, and there's no adhesive on it. Electrical tape is something that almost everyone is familiar with. However, electrical tape generally has a big goopy glue to it, and it comes out and it's all over your hands. It looks bad, and it's not original. These harnesses from the 60s and some in the 70s are wrapped in this original tape, or looming tape. When we get down to the end, there is a tape that is applied to the end of it to keep the non-adhesive tape in place, and then it's heat treated to activate the glue that's in the tape at the very end, and that makes a permanent seal. Keeps out bugs, environment, all kinds of factors that would compromise your wiring. And again, can't say it enough, the biggest difference between a reliable Scout and an unreliable Scout is the condition of the wiring harness.